Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Daily Debate. My name is Ahmed Nader and tonight we're going to focus on the visit of the French President to Egypt, the French President Emmanuel Macron, more specifically his meeting with His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the Governorate of Alexandria and inaugurating the new campus and the new headquarters of Senghor University in the city of Burj Al Arab, which took place yesterday, to be emphasizing the bilateral relationship between Egypt and France, Egypt and the European Union, and Egypt and Africa as well. But we'll be starting straight away with the main top stories that took place for Sunday, as through the social media account, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi welcomed the French counterpart Emmanuel Macron. Earlier, President al-Sisi and Macron inaugurated on Saturday the new campus of L'Université Senghor in Burj Al Arab, Alexandria, and held summit talks. The talks tackled the latest developments in the region. Both leaders discussed the developments in the Palestinian cause and Egypt's efforts to implement the ceasefire in Gaza, as well as the situation in Lebanon. Meanwhile, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Badr, stressed the importance of supporting the negotiation track as the only way to de-escalate the tension and end the war. He asserted the necessity of preserving the freedom of navigation and addressing the security concerns of the Gulf Arab states. This came during Abdul's meeting with the French counterpart Jean-Noel Barrot, where Abdullah reiterated the Egyptian condemnation to the Iranian unjustified attacks on the Arab countries. The meeting also tackled the situation in Lebanon, as Abdullah assured Egypt's supportive stance towards Lebanon and its condemnation to Israel's repeated violations of the Lebanese sovereignty. The two ministers agreed to continue close coordination and consultation and to work together to de-escalate the tension and enhance security and stability in the region. Egypt condemned the targeting of the Qatari commercial ships in the regional waters. A foreign ministry statement said that Egypt deems the attacks a flagrant violation of the international and the maritime navigation laws and the dangerous escalation threatening the security of the world trade and the global water routes. The statement expressed Egypt's complete solidarity with Qatar and support for any procedures that the Gulf state may take to defend its security and sovereignty and to ensure the safety of navigation near its coast. In the statement, Egypt again warned against the grave repercussions of the latest escalation on the security and stability of the entire region. And to one of the main events for today in the continent of Africa, the French President Emmanuel Macron on Sunday met with the Kenyan counterpart William Ruto in Nairobi as part of the African visit aimed at renewing the French engagement with the continent after years of strained ties with the former colonies. Macron is to co-host a two-day summit starting on Monday, bringing together the African leaders and the business executives as he seeks to cement the legacy 1 year before the end of the term. The meeting will focus on the economic development and cross-border investment, among other themes. The French presidency stated, stressing that will be the first such forum held in an English-speaking country. Macron hopes to highlight the French renewed relationship with the continent as a report card on his Africa policy. Macron arrived in the English-speaking Kenya from Egypt and is also due to travel to Ethiopia as part of the Africa tour. And to be shedding more light on this important topic, I'm honored to be having with me over the phone for tonight on the Daily Debate His Excellency Dr. Mongy Ali Badr, the Minister Plenipotentiary and the board member of the UN Association. Thank you very much, Doctor, for being with us tonight on Nile TV International and the Daily Debate.
Always it's my honor to be with you, Ahmed.
The honor is all mine. Doctor, first of all, shedding more light on the visit of the French President Emmanuel Macron to Africa in general that took place starting yesterday here in Egypt, today in Kenya and then in Ethiopia, but more specifically the meeting that took place between Presidents Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Emmanuel Macron in the city of Burj Al Arab in the Governorate of Alexandria, and inaugurating the new campus of the Senghor University in the city of Burj Al Arab, cementing the bilateral relationship between Egypt and France on the cultural, the economic and the political levels. How do you comment on that?
In fact, I agree with you completely about what you mentioned about the visit of His Excellency Macron to Egypt to attend the opening of Senghor University in Burj Al Arab, alongside with His Excellency Mr. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and also in the presence of several African and international officials. In fact, this visit carries an important strategic meaning. It shows that France wanted to strengthen its cultural and educational influence in Egypt. So they chose Egypt. As you know, that Egypt is a pioneer in education and receiving students from Africa and Asia studying here in Egyptian University. The opening of Senghor University, it's not only about education. I wanted to stress about this point, but it's also building soft power. University aim to prepare African professionals in areas such as management, development, especially economic development, health, and the governance. It will expand French culture and the language influence across Africa. I wanted to shed more light about how about Egypt.
Yes.
Egypt side. The visit highlights its success in attracting international institutions and projects with African and regional importance. This supports Egypt's strategy to become a hub for education, service, and the knowledge economy. The visit also strengthened in Egypt-France relation. As you know, this relation under the umbrella of Egypt-EU partnership, which have grown in recent years, like in defense, energy, transport, and investment. Let me conclude this visit. Macron's visit was not just about opening a new university. It was a clear political and cultural message. Global competition in Africa is no longer only about military or economic power, but it's also about education, identity, and long-term influence. Why I mention this point? Because there is a growing competition between superpower to develop their relation with Africa, because Africa, it has a lot of source and it has a lot of mining, and it's a very young continent.
Yes. Dr. Mongy, as you mentioned, to be cementing the bilateral relations between France and Africa today, we have seen the French President Emmanuel Macron heading for Nairobi to Kenya to be meeting with the Kenyan President William Ruto for the first time, to be holding a summit in an English-speaking African country, to be having this summit, to be cementing the economic development and the bilateral relations between France and the African continent in the presence of several African leaders on Monday and Tuesday, as well as the business executives. How would you comment on the summit that will be taking place on Monday and Tuesday?
What you mentioned, Ahmed, it shows that France is trying to reshape its relation with Africa after losing influence in several countries in West Africa and in Sahel also in recent years. Also, from another side, this conference is also an importance because it's one of the largest African platforms. Let Macron, since he became a president in 2016, holding it in Kenya, an English-speaking country, as you mentioned, and not a traditional French-speaking partner.
Yes.
Sent a clear message. France understand that influence in Africa today is no longer based on history. Forget history now. But on strong economic partnership and mutual interest. Kenya, in fact, as you know, it's the leader in East Africa, and it's a key partner for France in East Africa. French investment, in fact, there in Kenya have grown significantly. And many French companies, more than 100 French companies, are now active in Kenyan market. France also sees that the president of Kenya as an important partner in East Africa, especially in discussion about reforming the global financial system and increasing investment flow into Africa. The slogan of that conference, Africa Forward Conference, focus on major development area such digital economy, IT and AI, infrastructure, which Africa is suffering from infrastructure. It's very weak. Energy, innovation, and job creation. Many African leaders, international institutions, and French companies are taking part in this conference. France is expected, in fact, to announce new investment and partnership initiative to strengthen its economic presence in Africa and to compete with other global players like China, India, Russia, and of course, United States of America. There is also geopolitical dimension for this conference. France is paying more attention to East Africa because of its strategic location near important sea routes like Bab el-Mandeb, which link Red Sea with Indian Ocean.
Yes, Dr. Mongy Ali Badr, the Minister Plenipotentiary and the board member of the UN Association, thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate over the phone. And we will be heading to the first report of the program for tonight, focusing on the inauguration of the new campus of Senghor University by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the French President Emmanuel Macron in the city of Bourg al Arab in Alexandria.